on stage, I have put together a mix that I hope will provide insights from a few different perspectives. I have Erik Karlsson. He's heading up the work for the investment arm at H&M Group called Collab, looking every day, every hour on sustainable fashion solutions and figuring out opportunities to invest. So welcome. And then I have Eva Karlsson. No relation there, just a very common Swedish name, as far as I know. Eva Karlsson is the CEO of Houdini Sportswear. For those of you who haven't looked into them, please do. They're a small but very progressive outdoor brand with a very ambitious and impressive sustainability agenda. And then I have Nikita from the Mills Fabrica. The Mills Fabrica is one of our partners at the Global Change Award, helping us plow through all the applications, helping us select the winners, and more importantly, helping us support the entrepreneurs in the Accelerator program, which is a one-year program where we try to provide as much value as possible to the new winners each year. And you're the CEO at the London office of the Mills Fabrica. And otherwise, you have your main office is in Hong Kong.
Yeah, main office in Hong Kong, and I head up the Mills Fabrica in UK, Europe. Yep.
Exactly, UK, Europe. Good. So welcome, all of you. And we are here because I was curious if we could have a conversation looking at this, having heard now the entrepreneurs and startups and some of their struggles and their journey, looking at it from the receiving end of a brand or an investor. And I think I'd like to start out with a warm-up question for you, which is, what are you looking for? What type of innovations are you looking for these days? Why don't we start with you, Erik? And I'm going to move a bit backwards. So
okay. As a strategic investor, we're looking for, in general, three things. The first one is great ideas that are, very relevant to the overall direction of the H&M Group. The second thing we're looking for is, of course, great return on investment, and where we can use H&M Group's size and scale to help multiply that, which is good for all investors. And the third general thing we're looking for is, great teams, great founders, great entrepreneurs. But then, specifically for H&M Collab, we have three areas that we invest in within the fashion and retail industries. The first one we call sustainable fashion, and that's where we invest in order to support our journey towards our sustainability goals. The second thing we call new retail. This is where we're exploring the future business models of the fashion and retail industries. And the third category that we invest in we call enablers, and that's about improving our customer offer through investing and partnering up with other companies.
Fantastic. We'll hear a little bit more about Collab later on, but I really see how this is one of the main tools to drive progress for the H&M Group, which obviously is a huge group. So turning to you, Eva, coming from a smaller player in the industry, but with the same challenges, I know that you have very progressive and kind of uncompromisable look at what you want to create in terms of products and what you create them of. So what are some of the innovators and new ideas that you are looking for?
Well, I think we need to find like-minded, curious people who are comfortable with not knowing everything. And that means also honest about lack of knowledge, curiosity to learn more, and a systemic approach so that even though you're maybe in a smaller scope, you understand the positive and negative impacts for the entire system. So, there are plenty of them nowadays as well. It's fantastic to see everything here today, and I can see we've been working for 20 years with the same mission of going circular and regenerative, and it's exploding now, so it's fantastic, really.
Maybe you can find some new great ideas here later on. Nikita, you come from this from a slightly different perspective, not being a brand, but I know that the Mills Fabrica are investing in entrepreneurs and innovators as well as supporting them on their journey, but you also have close ties to the investment community in general. So what do you see that people are looking for in terms of new innovations in the space of sustainability and fashion?
I think, well, what we are at the Mills Fabrica looking to invest in is not investing in individual, let's say, apparel brands, but looking at material companies, supply chains, and production that can really, make systematic change throughout the industry, from luxury to value, and really help move the needle, let's say, when we're talking about positive impact for the planet.
Great. So I think, to the entrepreneurs in the room, there is room for everyone because the value chain is long and we need to kind of embrace the complexity of the need to fill all of it with new solutions. I'm curious to hear from you though, because you've been working for a long time, all of you, in this space. What are some of the key success factors or learnings that you've had in terms of partnering up with innovators, or maybe starting with you, Erik, in terms of some of the investments that you've been able to do since you started?
Yeah, so define success, right? And I think for many of the startups and innovators in this room, success is like, how do I get to big scale fast and really have an impact? And I was listening to Peter Karlsson the other day, the founder of Northvolt. And what he said about scaling was that they started with a vision, a strong vision. What is it that we're actually looking to accomplish? In his case, gigafactories for the car industry in Europe to start with. So they had the vision, and they then moved on to form a great team that shared that same vision, and that's super important. Once they had the team, they then moved on to the product, improved the product. So they had the product, they had the right team, and they had a vision. And from there, it's really about just scaling, hyper-scaling is what they called it. And he said, with this approach, in his words, you're going to run into a shitload of problems, right? And that's when you need to stay true to your vision and really just use the right team to overcome those problems. And that's why it's so crucial that they also share your vision, because otherwise you're going to create a whole new set of problems for you. So I think, if you take that approach and apply it to another example, a company from our industry, Renewcell, that we have invested in. When we invested, they went from lab scale directly to demo plant. So they went from being able to produce a few kilos to being able to have an installed capacity of 3,500 tons. So that's a huge leap. And then before that was really operational, in the board we took the decision to actually build the first full-scale plant, 60,000 tons. So another huge leap. And before that is even commissioned, they announced just a month ago or two that they're doubling that capacity to 120,000 tons. So I think, and by the way, all of that, or most of that capacity is already sold out. And I think these are two really good examples of how you build businesses and how you scale businesses in our age. It is a mind shift, and it's a completely new way of working, but I think this is just what we need for us as businesses to reach our goals, and for us as a society to reach our goals as well.
We had the pleasure of listening to Renewcell talking to some of the winners of the 2022 Global Change Award, and I think that all of them were like, oh, we also want to go from grams to ton. How do we do that? But it's a really good example, and it sounds like something where you kind of need to dare to take a leap without having all the answers.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a quick follow-up. When Collab invests, do you just kind of invest and leave them alone to tag along on their journey, or are you supporting in that scale?
I would say we're very active in different ways in all our companies. We're always available to the companies that we have invested in. We try to use the whole H&M Group organization and all our fantastic colleagues to support the companies the best we can.
Nice. And I know when we wanted to bring you on stage, coming from the brand side, myself and a smaller brand, I realized that not every brand out there is like the H&M Group with their own investment arm, which is kind of why I wanted you here, Eva, representing a smaller brand that might not be able to have the muscles to go in and invest. But you've still been able to work with new innovations and implementing them in your products. I know that Eon, a previous Global Change Award winner, is not here today, unfortunately, but you have their solution in a zipper in one of your products, I believe.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
Trying it out in different areas of our company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some key success factors for you when you dare to try something new?
Well, we know exactly where we're going, so that means we don't do a lot of stuff. We focus on a few really, really important projects. And that means that we also build really, really strong partnerships, where we can sometimes deliver thought leadership, sometimes just, being able to field test, not only lab test. And I think also an innovation process that is some kind of cultivation, more organic than anything else. So that means we choose a company like Eon, which is kind of different for us because it's tech, digital tech, and material innovation is where we've been most of the time. But then again, what we have in front of us is transforming production and design, but also transforming consumption or way of use, way of life, maybe. So in digital, we have an opportunity to potentially move a bit further into mimicking the natural ecosystem. So feedback loops and so forth. And that can go in all, and should go in all directions. So that is one example of innovating together with small and big partners. One thing that has been important to us, especially when we were smaller, was to be open source, in the sense that if we went into an innovation process with maybe one of the biggest brands in the world for ingredient brands, to give everything, be that thought leader, and partner up with them for several years, but then not ask for exclusivity, which is actually the case for many of our colleagues in the business. So asking for exclusivity for a sustainable solution, what's the point? And enabling open source then, so that brand, whether big or small, can scale faster. I think that is one of our success factors as a small brand. Nowadays, not as important, but back in the days, it was the only way for us to innovate together with the talents of the world.
Open source, keep that in mind, is one of the leading principles, and I think it's such an important point. The more the merrier, right? Nikita, in terms of your work, I mean, both in terms of maybe some of the investments that you have done, but also in supporting entrepreneurs and maybe pairing them up with other sources of attracting capital and investment. Do you have any key success factors you would like to share?
So what we do at the Mills Fabrica is when we invest in a company within our portfolio, we really support them with our network, our community. So we have, co-working space, office space, and we have experiential retail, space as well within our facility, let's say in the UK and in Hong Kong. So really, we try and connect the companies to the industry, and I think that's very important in success as well, especially for a startup to have a big brand partner. And I really believe it's the brands that should be making the leap to, take on these innovators into whether it be a capsule collection to begin with, but to really give them a voice. I think that's really key. So I always think, collaboration is really the key to success and getting them out there and start getting traction as well.
Thank you so much. I have a ton of more questions, but I see that we're running out of time, and you will also be around. So if any of you have more questions for Erik and Nikita, you'll be around. I know you have to run, but I know that your team members are here as well. Thank you for sharing those insights. I'm taking away open source, being bold enough to jump without having all the answers, mimicking nature, and support and connecting entrepreneurs and great ideas to the industry.
May I add something?
Yes, please, Eva.
We need to pivot. We cannot keep the old and then add the new on the side because it won't work and it's not going to happen fast enough. We need to be bold enough to leave the old stuff behind and focus on the new, what we have around us.
Exactly. Transformation doesn't mean a little bit better or a little less negative. It means different and new. Good. Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much.
Thank you.